Hi, my name is Cristian Francisco, student U1033821, course EDC200 on Self, Education and Society for University of Southern Queensland, presenting assignment 2, How might education mediate difference and dominance? Anzac Day, the 25th of April 2012, I attended my very first dawn service. And watching the parade of proud but worn-down war veterans, their eyes gazed forward, focused on the march ahead and showing no emotion. The young cadets marching in unison, concentrating on each step. Bright students from grades P to 12 from varying schools. The young waving and smiling to the crowd as they marched by down the main street. Anzac stands for the Australia and New Zealand Army Corps, and the Anzac soldier is a representative of those soldiers that have served and are serving in the Australian and New Zealand Army. Anzac Day is one of Australia's most meaningful national occasions and is commemorated in communities nationally. It is the first anniversary fought by Australian and New Zealand forces through the First World War. And to think they all come together to support Anzac Day here and around Australia.
Hi, and thank you very much everyone for coming back just to do a run through of the staff meeting we had last week. Based on Anzac Day, what we are basically going to do, I've started off with collectively taking all the information you gave me last week, and with a mixture of mind maps, breaking it down, getting some group ideas, some Venn diagrams, this is what I've come up with. And stop. Okay, so what we started at the moment, or maybe not started, what we hope to have an outcome for, is we've got part 1, part 2 and 3. For part 1 it will be what they know, and we need to find out some of this information as what they know about Anzac Day and run with that. That will also give us an outline of what they may not know, so we may understand a little bit more and be able to grow on that from there. What they want to know, so we can actually find out, maybe they want to know what uniforms were worn back in the 1915s when Anzac Day was around, or sorry, when the First World War started and the Australians went over to fight. And after we've done all that collective information with the students, we'll then go into part 2, which is what they learnt. So now we'll know, and basically give them a test and find out the differences of what they did know and what they now know. And how they learnt it. They may have learnt it through, obviously, the World Wide Web, from family, friends, people in the Army, anything of that nature, and we might even see if we can organise a guest speaker in, which I'll go through with the mind map behind me. Right, so from here what we've done is, I've taken your collective information, Anzac Day is our star, and basically just branched off all these ideas you guys gave last week, so we can find out where we can move them around and basically designate them to. Some of them will actually come into contrast into a same category, and others will basically just be a different category which the students can work on from there. But for Anzac Day we need to investigate, so we need to gather as much information as we can for what it is, when it happened, who went, where it happened, and why it happened. But the key of this whole Anzac Day is to find out some identity, differences, dominance, things of that nature, just so that the kids understand that a little bit more. So what I've done is, in the red, you've got some of the notations we found, and then hopefully identifying some other key aspects. We've got a dress-up corner which might be targeted more at the younger students, and that way they can see what was worn for Army dress wear back in 1915, around the time when Anzacs basically formulated themselves. So yeah, targeted on the younger years, have the uniforms change over the years, which obviously I think it has. Not only with this, back in the 1914, 1915s, soldiers that were drafted or signed up as volunteers were all mainly male orientated. So right at the moment the dominance there would have been the male orientation of going to war, and the females were not really, I guess, expected to go. The unsung heroes would have been the nurses, and the students can actually find out that. So this is all the information that we're aware of. What defines the difference between, let's say, what exactly the Anzac actually means and is. The unknown soldier, and Simpson and the Donkey, so the story of Simpson. But with the guest speakers, I think this is going to be the true highlight. You may even be able to get a veteran in to be able to discuss it if it's at all possible, or anyone from the Army, which would be ideal, as they can really give you the facts behind it all, the differences of the then and the now, which will also the guest speaker, as we'll come across over here, will actually help with gathering more of the information and being able to display in present terms at the moment. For your activities, basically rundown would be the students can either do an individual poster or page. If it's a page, they can then probably assemble it into some form of book. So you're having a contents page might have. So what we'll organise is to, as a class activity, we'll just make a wreath and we'll just have a volunteer from that classroom on the day, and we'll participate in the school assembly or even the local ceremony, and we'll lay the wreath down in respect. From there, basically going back to the students and the cultures, for those students that may not be able to participate in any of the Anzac Day activities, which is understandable to a degree, those students can actually choose a culture of their own or other culture, and obviously as an individual assignment, or also a poster of the culture and its traditions. With that, basically they will need to give a brief description. An example of this might be the Middle Eastern religions, if they wanted to broaden into that. You've got the ladies that wear the veil or the burqa. In the past, it's basically fully clothed from head to toe, and some have been able to broaden off and basically only wear, say, a top part of the veil and still be able to show their face. Again, they need to be able to investigate and produce a page or poster in that aspect. Okay, so going again from the cultures and the students will need to, for those that cannot do anything in regards to the Anzac Day, is to choose a culture or a tradition that might be their own or their own background, and if not, they could take something else in regards to maybe Christmas or Easter or something of that nature that they're able to be involved in. With that, I would then like to see if we can, for those students that did do the Anzac Day assignment, just see what sort of similarities there are with those students that ended up doing a different cultural based assignment. And that way we can actually see some similarities, but at the same time, whatever differences. I've only just got examples there, but I'm sure you can all take this home or take it to the classroom and come up with your own ideas. But that's what we would significantly like to see, is be able to have the children see two, I guess, separate identities. They have some sort of similarity, and even though it may be from a different cultural background, no matter what it is, Anzac Day would have been our prime or a key feature, as this is what our lead up is for, lead up to. Okay, so once again, thank you all for coming along. I hope this has been a bit of help for you guys to take back to the classroom. I'm not this time going to put this in PowerPoint presentation, but I'm happy to leave all this information up for you to be able to take your own notes. Just to let you know, I think as a school we really need to give the students the opportunities to gain a deeper understanding of Anzac Day, whether the students are in early years or even in the upper grades, for them to understand that Anzac Day is a significant event which forms who we are as Australians, our identity and our culture. By investigating what Anzac Day is and why we remember it, as well as comparing it to other cultural traditions, it gives the students a broader understanding of who we are as Australians and forms a basis of our Australian culture and our identity of who we are.